Hey there. This is for all of my people that have been told that you are too much, you're too dramatic, or that you just take things too personally. I just want to say I see you, I am you, and you are not too much, you're not too dramatic, and you're definitely not taking things too personally. What you may be is a highly sensitive person. And when I made this unlock for myself very early into my recovery, it helped me so much understand myself, helped me see where I fell into addiction, and it helped me know what tools to use to help me to get out. And so from one sensitive person to another, I just want to say that what you have is a superpower. This highly sensitive antenna that you have is the way that you process the world. And you're going to take more in than the average person because of that sensitive antenna. Being highly sensitive is just a biological personality trait that says that you process physical, social, and emotional stimuli more intensely than other people. And we're about 15 to 20% of the population. To me, what this helps me do is take care of myself in my own specific way. Being highly sensitive means that you're naturally more of an intuitive feeler. You are a deep processor of that physical, emotional, and social stimuli. You tend to have a hypervigilance when interacting with other people. And you're an empath oftentimes, not always, but this is where this deep emotional empathy sometimes can come from. And when I say intuitive feeler, that's one of our senses. All of us have intuition. Being highly sensitive means that can be really highly online for us, but we can suppress it. And that's exactly what I was up to when I was in my addiction. In fact, I would say trying to avoid this part of myself, or just my highly sensitive nature in general, was why I leaned into alcohol as much as I did. It kind of created a numbing. It calmed all of that sensitivity down. And that works for a while until it doesn't. But also, now that I know and I'm working with this sensitive part of myself, with my intuition, with all of that, I don't want to numb that out anymore. It's a superpower. In fact, it would be a betrayal. It would feel like a betrayal to take in alcohol and numb myself in that same way that I used to. And being a deep processor of emotions means you're taking more in. And when you're taking more in, there's just more computing to do in your inner world. So it's easier to get exhausted. It's easier to get overwhelmed. It's easier to feel in your physical body like you've had too much, and yet you don't know why when everybody else is okay. What actually clued me into all of this, which should have been obvious right in front of my face, was I was listening to a podcast with Alanis Morissette on it. And she was talking about how she's a highly sensitive person and talked about ways that it confused her and also ways that she has learned to embrace it. And as I was listening to it, it was like everything made sense. And I was early on into my recovery and just really struggling with how did I get here? Why me? Why is everybody else okay with alcohol and I can't seem to get a grip with it? And as she was talking about it, I just saw myself so much in her about how she would feel things and how she would get overwhelmed and her struggles with anxiety and depression and addiction herself. And that's where being highly sensitive, if we're not keen to it, if we're not taking care of ourselves, we can easily fall into anxiety, depression, and addiction from that overwhelm. But the other side of that is that if we embrace it and use it as a superpower, our ability to connect and how deeply we can feel that connection is amazing. We can channel that creatively, and we just experience the world in a profoundly rich way. That I can say that now that I'm on the other side and I'm protecting it and I'm embracing it is so true. In fact, my husband said to me at one point, like he understands how it can get in my own way. But at the same time, he knows, he can see how I just experience life in that way. Like I just have a broad bandwidth of emotions that I feel deeply. And when I have connection with people, it feels really intense sometimes in a wonderful way. And yes, now I'm using it to channel my creativity in a way that I never used to. So the number one thing I want to say is if you sense this in yourself and you're not at this point treating yourself as a highly sensitive person, the first thing I would offer is support yourself somatically. And somatic is basically just of the body. How is your body feeling? And almost always, when the information feedback from your body is overwhelmed or ungrounded, the first thing to do is slow down and ground. And again, it's why so much of my message is to slow down and ground and be present, is because the slowing down is very crucial to working with the subtle senses like intuition. And also, if you're a deep processor and you're taking in more information than the average person, there's more going on. You're not going to be able to run this around in the same circles that other people do who aren't taking in that amount of information. One of the things I started to do for myself is just be really honest about those situations where other people seem to be doing fine or having a great time, and I'm really struggling. One example is live music. And I love music. I actually like live music under certain circumstances, but like very big concerts that are big stadiums full of people with endless encores and really loud music and late nights, those are not for me anymore. In fact, it's just an automatic no. I don't even try it anymore. We have a jazz club in town. My daughter's a jazz musician, and we love to support her and taking her to those sorts of things. And it's a much more controlled environment where we have a seat and people aren't standing and there's not yelling going on and there's limited amount of people and it's a certain time limit and we're home by 9. And that just works so much better for me. And yeah, my 20-year-old self would have thought that was super lame. But now that I'm like, no, it's important for me to know where I thrive and where I suffer and where I get drained. It's just an easy choice. It's interesting too, because when I was a hairstylist, I did have a role for a while where I traveled to different salons in a 4-state area. So I went in a lot of different salons. And it was interesting because I could always sense right when I walked into the salon if it was going to be an environment where the hairstylists got along and wanted to learn and wanted to grow, or if there was chaos and fighting and people shut down, not wanting to learn new information. I could sense it right as I walked in the room. And as I'm saying this, are you the type of person that when you walk into a room or a building or an environment, can you sense the energy in the room? As human beings, we affect each other. Our energy fields, our moods, our identities of ourselves, how we are in time and space, it all affects everyone around us. That's why it's kind of a two-sided coin. So yes, I want to take care of myself. I need to take care of myself. But when I'm grounded and centered and present and regulated, my regulated sensitivity acts as an anchor. And what I mean by that is that I'm stabilizing the room versus being taken down by it. And that is why you're not too much, you're not too dramatic, and you're not taking anything too personally. Your sensitivity is a superpower. It is not the problem. Being dysregulated is the problem. And being highly sensitive means that you can lead yourself to dysregulation so much faster. So that is our responsibility as highly sensitive people is to trust our sensitivity, but be aware when we become dysregulated. Trust your feelings and emotions. Trust them. They're not too much. Trust them and then use them to see where you are on the scale of regulated to dysregulated. And if you're dysregulated, be honest about what dysregulates you. Take time for yourself to get back into regulation. Know the tools that help you to get regulated. And a lot of those tools are just embodiment practices, boundaries, and knowing what your needs are and giving them to yourself. Do you know what your needs are? Do you know what people or situations or environments throw you out of calm, happy place? I really notice my hypervigilance showing up with certain people, and it's not necessarily a good or bad thing. Oftentimes it happens when I feel like sometimes maybe what they're saying doesn't match what I'm feeling underneath the words. Or sometimes when I'm intimidated by somebody, I can be hypervigilant, like making sure that I'm matching what I think that they want from me. And all of that, if I'm aware of it, if I can catch myself in the moment and be like, oh, I am putting way too much of my energy and my power into this other person. I'm getting exhausted by this interaction with them, and I think it might be my hypervigilance. And what I do is I take a conscious breath, and then I pull my energy back to myself. And it takes 15 seconds, awareness, breath, call my power back. And within a minute, I can feel all of that kind of slip away, come back into myself, and I get less exhausted by people that way. Again, it's not them, it's me, and I just need to be aware of what I need. So when I talk about trusting what you're feeling and what your emotions are, one of the things to look for, what is mine and what is not mine? Or is this something I need to take action on? Or is this something where I need to rest? An example of what is mine is just what I described with the hypervigilance. That was mine. That was an opportunity for me to slow down and get back into my body. What is not mine is when I walk into a salon and I can feel the energy of the room and it's like, ugh, feels kind of stifling. Then it's like, okay, that's not mine, and I have awareness of that. Basically, all of this is to say, if you feel that you're a highly sensitive person, embrace it. If you are struggling with anxiety, depression, or addiction, this could be a major unlock if you look at this and take care of this. Trust yourself. Call your power back. Slow down. Use your boundaries. Know your wants and needs. I promise this is one of those things that even the non-sensitive people could benefit from. So if any of this resonated with you, let me know in the comments. Everyone can learn and grow from all of us talking about this together. And as always, follow me, subscribe, like. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you learning alongside with me. And this is my permission to you, not that you need it, to take care of yourself and just honor that superpower that you have.